Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so talked a little bit about, or a lot about actually, the homework that I did on some of the players that are being drafted this upcoming NBA draft, which is maybe 3 weeks away. So I got enough time to do all the homework necessary to make my mock draft that is going to be taking place some point in time within the next couple of weeks before the draft, of course. So look out for that. I'm definitely doing all the homework necessary to ensure that I'm up to speed and committed to that. But yeah, man, there was a few players I don't think I got a chance to talk too much about, because I was so focused in on a few players that I liked and my mind was taking me other places. That video should be uploaded very soon, so you guys can check that out. But this is basically what I would probably consider part two. At least that's what my intention is as we go into it. Yeah, it's a kid by the name of Queen. I can't think of his first name for whatever reason. And I know I got the wrong one in my head, so I'm not going to say the wrong name, but it's Queen is his last name. He's from Maryland, DMV area. I think he went to Maryland. He's getting ready to be drafted somewhere in the middle lottery, I believe. But this is a big guy, man. He has a lot of guard-like skills for a big player. Reminds me of a few people, actually. But the name that comes to mind quickly is Andray Blatche. And for those of us who remember Andray Blatche, he was extremely skilled as a big guy. He was hefty, not fat or anything like that, but a good, strong, old-school power forward body. But he had guard skills, could really dribble, get to the line, could shoot the three, finish at the rim, of course. And this guy reminds me of him, man. Very, very unique, highly gifted, big guy with guard skills. I'm extremely intrigued by what I saw from him. He is another one of those players that makes me think he should probably go in the tops, I don't know, after the top 5, maybe 6 through 15 or something like that. He should be in that range. He might be able to stay home with the Washington Wizards. I believe they pick at 7. But that's a really intriguing piece, man. It's a really intriguing piece. Easy prediction to get double-doubles. Just a nice overall player who has a huge body but styles like a wing or a guard. So, I think of a lesser version of Boogie, because of course Boogie could do literally everything on the offensive side of the ball. I wouldn't say he's as skilled as Boogie, but he's supposed to be better than Andray Blatche. You know what I mean? So it's it's one of them type of things. Rich man's Andray Blatche, poor man's Boogie Cousins, maybe. Not nearly as big as Boogie, I don't think, but he's huge. And so I really like this Queen kid, man. I think he should be taken early. I think he can help most teams. He fits on most teams, in my opinion. Moves quick enough to switch in situations where you need that, I think. So he's somebody I'd say pay attention to for sure. Another name that I think is starting to be a little more intriguing to me is what's this guy's name? Kon Knueppel. He's a guy that I'd say is a bit polarizing, because you find people who really love his game, and then you find people who are hating on him, just think that he's just the quintessential white dude that doesn't have any athleticism, probably just going to space the floor. I see something in between that. I think what's intriguing about him is he has the ability to play the 3 and the 4 spot because he's a bigger dude. He's 6'7", 6'8", but he's if you remember last year, Ben Shepherd, a large version of Ben Shepherd is what I took from him early on. Doesn't really have a whole lot of athleticism to him, unlike Ben Shepherd, who really did great in the combine with the jumping. But this dude is somebody who is crafty, has good touch, can shoot the 3 about as elite as anybody in this class, one of the better shooters than anybody in this class, and likely could play multiple positions, likely can play some 2, likely can play some 3, and does have good passing skills, so you may be able to get away with him playing a little 1, depending on the defense coming at him in the system. But I'm intrigued by Kon Knueppel, man. I think when you talk about a player who's just a reliable shooter, reliable shot maker, somebody who's not overly exciting as it pertains to how he drives at the rim, but can get some shots off in stride, get to the line. Luka Doncic like layup package, you know what I mean? He's not looking to do too much flair stuff, but, you know, puts himself in good position and uses the glass, you know, that kind of thing. He just looks like a guy who's going to be able to fill it up. Doesn't look like he has a whole lot of flair to his game, but can go on any basketball court and dominate with fundamentals and an intellect. And is a good connective piece, can make plays for other people, but projects to be a fantastic shot maker from basically all three levels. So I'm intrigued by Kon Knueppel. Now I understand that his athletic limitations kind of make him polarizing to some people, but I like the size that he brings to the table. I think he would be a big two. You know, the comparisons that I hear are like Bogey Bogdanovic is a name that comes to mind. Like I said, a big Ben Shepherd. Very poor man's Luka Doncic. Very poor man's. But, like, you know, he has some stuff to him. I don't think he has the footwork of Luka or anything like that, but just it pertains to how Luka likes to look for ways of scoring in the paint. I think this guy has that kind of game to him. Nice high arc when necessary. He seems to have a really good touch for the basketball. Mid-range, good. Three-point, very good. So this is a very important piece in today's basketball where you need guys who can hit shots consistently. And he may be the most talented shot maker in this class. Obviously, we talk about a guy like Ace Bailey. He's a fantastic shot maker. And another shot maker that I know is pretty damn elite in this class is Trey Johnson. Those are the two guys that you would say may be ahead of him in terms of shot making. But I've seen people take him ahead of Trey Johnson in a lot of cases. He's projected to probably go around 6 or 7, 8, somewhere in that range. I think New Orleans may have some interest there. He's getting mocked there a lot. So Kon Knueppel, very interesting player. Looks like just a gamer, somebody who's going to be able to get buckets a lot of the time, no matter what the style of play is, no matter what the system. I think he's a very safe bet in today's stretch the floor league. Very safe bet on the offensive end. Defensively, he's not projected to be that great. They said his ceiling is probably neutral. So I would expect that you need to have good defensive players around him, hide him, and stuff like that. But he's gonna give you a lot on the offensive end, and is a good connective piece as well, from what I understand. So that's somebody I'm curious about learning a little more about before making a real decision on him. But I lean into being more on the optimistic side about Kon than the pessimistic side about Kon. I like the fact that he's bigger than he looks on the screen. He is actually bigger than he looks on the screen. That's the best thing I can say in regards to that. So I like him. I like the kid. And seems to be pretty advanced for his age. Just like a lot of these players in this game, in this draft, but as we know, a lot of these guys are one and dones. He's a one and done that looks like he could potentially contribute sooner than later, based on his skill set and based on how he plays. So I like what I saw there. All right, who else did I see, man? There's some names that are not coming to mind, unfortunately. But let me grab my other phone out. Let me see if I can jog my memory on some of these players, because I did so much homework. And, of course, we're going to talk a lot about these players going forward, teams, where they fit and stuff like that. But I'm just now getting to know these guys as it pertains to their names. And to be honest with you, I still need to hear more about some of these dudes to really be able to get their names in my head at this stage. So give me a half a second, and we will jog my memory on some of these guys I've seen homework on already. Let's see. Let me look at my liked videos. Who did I have early on that I paid attention to? Thomas Sorber, we already talked about him. Ace Bailey, talked a little bit about him. So I probably need to do more homework on Ace to really get a good gauge of what it is that I saw there. Common Maliwatch. Common Maliwatch is very interesting, y'all. Common Maliwatch is a 7-footer, if I'm not mistaken, or about, I think they said he's 6'10", but he has like a 7'6" wingspan, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but his wingspan gives you the guys that this dude is a 7'1" dude. The way that he plays above the rim, he is a big man, a stopper, a defensive player who's going to catch lobs, really would fit in a lot of situations. Mainly, I think about my Los Angeles Lakers and the needs of center we have. He would be a great center for us, man. I know we can't get him because obviously he's a lottery pick in this year's draft. We don't have a pick, but he would be a wonderful guy to trade up and get to solidify your center position for years to come. Long arms, he blocks shots, catches lobs with ease. Just a force to be reckoned with his arms. A real monster, man. Khaman Maluach played for Duke, was in that winning situation, that fantastic defense with him, and Con Knipple was also on that team, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, the #1 overall expected pick was also on that Duke team. They just have a really good team, and Khaman was like the centerpiece player there that really solidified just the overwhelming shot blocking prowess between him and Cooper Flagg. So I would say pay attention to Khaman Maluach as a piece to go as early as 5, to be honest with you. When I look at some of these guys in this draft, I understand the mocks are kind of taking some people here and there, but when you talk about the need for bigs and probably the most talented pure center in this draft, it probably is Khaman Maluach, in my opinion. I just think that he is a real rim protector and somebody who's going to create a whole lot of problems trying to deal with him on the defensive end and on the glass as well. So I'm a big Khaman Maluach dude. I'd probably take him as early as 5 in Utah. Not that they really need a center, but that's how high I am on him at this point, especially with the questions I have about some of the other guys that are projected to be in that range. I'm just not in love with Jeremiah Fears and as we talked about, Trey Johnson. Not quite in love with these guys like that. I might pass on them depending on the needs of my team and what we can afford to project going forward with some of these players that are going to need time to develop. I think Khaman Maluach is somebody who probably come in and help me a little sooner than some of these other guys that are projected to be better than him going forward. And depending on my needs, I may be willing to take that chance and draft him. So that's something I wanted to say. Khaman Maluach, I don't know if he's going to rise up the rankings or not, but I like him in the lottery. Nice and comfortable in the mid-lottery area. Noah Asinghe is also very interesting. Noah Asinghe. And what I took from Noah Asinghe is essentially he's one of the more, as they like to call, toolsy guys in this draft. Long arms, very good defensive player once again. Can't really shoot the ball. Shot like 20-something%, but does have some upside as it pertains to the shot can come around eventually, they believe. Nice and explosive, long arms, so he can use that explosiveness to try to, get to the rim and finish there. Pretty good finisher from what I understand. Not the most athletic or jumpy dude, but his length makes up for it, so he's able to do a lot anyway, dunking the ball. Just really long arm dude, long arm wing, kind of thin. What do you call that? Now I don't know if the wiry is the right word, but agile enough to keep up with people laterally. And he's another one of those wings that you like a lot in this particular draft. You don't find this type of player in this draft too often. So if you're in need of a project wing with long arms, projects to be a very good finisher, projects to be a very good defender, I would say Noah Asinghe is probably somebody you need to be taking in the lottery. I could totally see somebody reaching for him, taking him as early as 8, maybe even 7. That might be a little rich for him, to be honest with you, but that is the type of player that tends to get reached for, if that makes any sense. And so I totally think Noah Asinghe could be interesting. I don't think I talked about Carter Bryant, but I really like Carter Bryant. I might have mentioned him in the last video. I don't remember. But Carter Bryant is going to be another wing with long arms. Now, for this draft to be the draft that doesn't have a lot of wings, the ones that are in this draft tend to stand out to me. They're not great shooters, most of them, but as it pertains to being able to track left and right, project to be able to be competent shooting the ball, can be jumpy and bouncy, provide some rim protection. Carter Bryant is another one of them dudes, man. extremely, extremely talented as it pertains to that defensive end. And he can finish well from what I understand. And he just has that quintessential NBA body for a wing. It can fly all over the place a good portion of the time. So I really like what I saw from him. I have more homework to do on this particular player. But I like what I saw from Carter Bryant as a defensive wing and somebody who can finish some. So let me see, what else, man? I'm looking at my other phone to try to get some pointers. There's some guys I haven't done homework on that I'm very interested in, like Joanne Behringer is a name that comes to mind. Who else, man? There's a couple others. A guy by the name of Wolf. I've heard about this 7-foot Wolf guy who tends to be a stretch 5, stretch 4, stretch 5 kind of guy. I like him a lot. Colin Murray Boyle's another one. Big body dude. Good shoulder length. 7-foot wingspan. 6'6" with shoes on. So that's pretty good length there for a power forward. South Carolina. He's a big body man. A very good defender once again. And that's what I guess, just without doing too much thinking, what I took from this draft as well is it's sneakily defensive. Sneakily defensive. What you're getting a wave of in this draft is more size and defense. Defense is, I'm not going to say it's at a premium because I still got a lot more homework to do on the other players. But most of the guys that are in that lottery, most of the guys that are in that first round range tend to have some defensive upside or some defensive skills. And so I would say the defense is starting to return back into the NBA with this particular draft. Because the more I think about the guys I'm most excited about, the more I realize that they more than likely shine on the defensive end more than the offensive end with some of the dudes that I've been paying attention to. So that is what I can say. You're getting an influx of defense and physicality coming into your league. Big guys who are physical, wingy guys who are going to be not great shooters, but definitely can track you back and forth. Ball handlers, defenders of a point of attack guys is what I'm trying to say. It's just some stuff here in this particular draft that makes you think that just overall the league is going to kind of shift into being a bit more competent on the defensive side. So that's what I would tell people. That I ain't going to say this is a defensive draft, but what you do find is that it's going to be a little harder to get to the rim. It's going to be a little harder to ball handle. It's going to be a little harder to deal with just overall rim protection in general because this draft has a lot of size. But the thing about the size is these guys are not master rebounders from what I see. There's a lot of dudes in this draft who are big but don't particularly find themselves to be glass cleaners. So I don't know if there's more to learn and more players that I got to do homework on. But judging by what I've seen, there is still a whole lot left to be desired in the bigs in this particular draft as it pertains to the rebounding. So that's what I'm hoping kind of shakes out to be a bit more positive than what it is I'm seeing. Because you got these big dudes who can rim protect, but maybe not necessarily projected to be killer rebounders. But a lot of rebounding is positioning and hustle, and it can be coached. And I'm pretty sure it'll even out because a lot of these dudes have super long arms. So we will see. We will see what comes of it. So yeah, man, this is just the early homework that I've done on some of these guys. There's a couple more I want to talk about here. If I can just get a look at some of these names. Jasperis Jakushonis is a guy I've heard a lot about. I haven't done homework on yet, so that's one of the key names I need to pay attention to. I'll do homework on him later, but he's a point guard, they say. 6'4", 205 pounds, 6'7" wingspan. So he seems to be a pretty good guy that a lot of people want to see in that top 10 range. So I'm very curious about him. Derek Queen is the name. Queen I was telling you about earlier. Derek is his first name, out of Maryland. Yeah, 6'9" guy with a 7-foot wingspan. Basically plays like a guard at 240. So, you know what I'm saying? This is a big body dude who can stretch the floor and do a lot of stuff with dribbling and stuff like, you know, I don't know if I could compare him to some of the more polished players like Paolo Banchero at that size, because that's pretty much what Paolo's size is. But this guy has some stuff to him that makes you say, yo, if you get the most out of him, you may have somebody that can be like a version of that, a light version of that. So yeah, I opened for him. Who else, man? Talked about Noah Singay. Jace Richardson is somebody I did homework on this morning. Jace Richardson is a better finisher than I was expecting him to be. He's only expected to be 6 feet tall, so that's not great size. He's not extremely explosive, but he's one of them dudes like Tony Parker that finish at the rim rather frequently, rather efficiently. And that's something I wasn't expecting from a shorter guy. He really finishes. He don't miss too many layups, don't miss too many dunks. And, you know, his dad is Jason Richardson, but as we've talked about on this channel before, he didn't really take from his dad's athleticism. In fact, he's lacking in athleticism to a degree, which is kind of surprising given who his pops is. But this is a very, very crafty ball handler from what I understand. He does a lot of stop and go stuff to create space, good pull-up mid-range guy. He has a lot of offensive stuff. And he does have a lot of effort on the defensive end. So while he's not going to be able to guard bigger players because of his size, he's not particularly deficient on the defensive end. So the players that are his size, he should be able to keep up with in theory. So I'm intrigued by Jace Richardson a bit more than I thought I would be. They have him going at the end of the lottery or the beginning of the outside of lottery. So he could be potentially somebody that you pay attention to 16 to 25 range. But Jace Richardson is somebody that I think can really score the ball based on the highlights that I've seen. This is a talented scorer of basketball. So pay attention to him. I think he's going to be pretty good someday. Danny Wolf, yeah, that's somebody I need to be paying attention to. I've seen many talk about Danny Wolf. I think he's starting to raise his draft stock as we speak. I would pay attention to Danny Wolf as well. You have to do homework on him, but that's going to get done. Liam McNeely, haven't done homework on him as well. Not certain of him at all. Talked about Thomas Sorber. Nolan Traore. And of course, the Laker fans, we know of Traore. We have his brother. I don't know if he's still on the farm team, but we started the season with Traore's bro. And, you know, this was a player we thought was going to be like a lottery pick early last year. We were talking about how he could be a lottery pick in this draft. He kind of lost some of that luster because he didn't have the greatest year last year where he was playing. But from what I understand, without doing homework on this player, because he's another one of those guys I got to do homework on, from what I understand, he's one of the fastest players in this draft. At the point guard position, if I'm not mistaken. And his brothers are big, but I guess he's a point guard. And yeah, he's supposed to be very fast and a good finisher and projects to be a better shooter than what he was able to show last year. So I'm intrigued by Nolan Traore. They got him going to the Heat as it pertains to this ESPN mock draft. I don't know if he'll actually fall that far when it's all said and done. Asa Newell's another player I need to do homework on. I've yet to see what he can do. 6'11" wingspan, 6'9" power forward center combination. So we'll do homework on him. So Will Riley's another name I've been hearing a lot. Another wing out there. So, you know, there's some guys, man. Nick Clifford's a name I've been hearing. So, yeah, we're going to do homework. We have yet to see about all of these players. Yeah. And in the second round, Cedric Coward is also somebody I need to do homework on. I'm hearing he's had a really good combine, from what I understand. So he's starting to raise his draft stock as we speak. Cedric Coward. So, you know, these are the names that I need to do homework on. Not necessarily anybody I know anything about as of yet. But because I've been watching these mock drafts, I've been listening to people talk about these people. So I know that there's some excitement to be had about some of those names. So yeah, that's really what I got. That's what I got right now. I just wanted to follow up by letting you guys know about a couple of more names that I paid attention to. And just getting familiar with these guys. And even though I'm a Laker fan who doesn't have much going on in this draft as of yet, things could change in that way. So you want to know what's available. And this just gives you an overall understanding of what type of field you're going to be walking into in the coming years. And so that's another reason why I love doing homework on the draft. You get an understanding of what these teams are going to shape up to look like based on the personnel that's coming onto these teams. It's a sneaky, important tool to being able to having a upper hand on projections going forward. Because if a certain team gets a certain player and they stick him on their bench, you want to know what he can do. If he comes into the game, you don't want to be one of those fans that's caught off guard, a guy having a big game or a guy having a trait that hurts your team and you didn't know about it. Following these drafts in the way that I have has helped me understand certain things that I know teams have on their benches that they can utilize. It helped me understand Minnesota better. It's helped me understand some of the stuff that I'm seeing with a lot of these teams. Helps me understand what type of players we need to be interested in 2-3 years from now, well after they're drafted, what they can do. It just gives you an overall understanding of where the league is headed. So that's one of many reasons why I love doing this. Out with the old, in with the new, man, and the new will tell us what is coming. So I think one thing that I can say is evolved is just overall wing competency, moving laterally. That's what I can say has been a natural eye test evolution. It's just guys are a bit more competent moving left to right, just in general. You know, and I'm seeing that in all of these players. They're just a little better than previous years where you find guys that just couldn't keep up with guys. They've been doing a lot better at developing these players to track players better, to be better on-ball defenders, better point-of-attack defenders just in general. I think the floor has raised, and the evolution is evident in that particular area. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much what I got to say. I appreciate everybody for allowing me to get my basketball talk off, and we will continue to become more aware of these players, and we will mention some of these guys again, and maybe even mention some names that we've yet to, leading all the way up to my mock draft. And so that's what I got to say, man. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. Bye.